give business tax cuts of billions of dollars to folks who don't need it and aren't creating jobs. This is about jobs for everybody. If you listened up there today and you heard the discussion on both sides of the aisle about jobs, that's certainly what it's about. But if you leave them to their own accord, there's not going to be any jobs created. That's why we need us. That's why we all need to work together for the future of Pennsylvania. And I promise you that's exactly what we'll do. We've worked together on issues over the years. As a matter of fact, it's been about 10 years ago, I think, Leanna Washington was chair. I have the award, but they give an award out for a legislator who's worked closely with the Legislative Black Caucus on several issues, which I've been happy to do over the years, most of them dealing with criminal justice issues. So I'm chairman of the Commission on Sentencing. That award hangs proudly in my office. We will continue to work together to make sure we look out for the best interests of all of you, for the best interests of Philadelphia, southeastern Pennsylvania, and the districts represented by my friends up here on this stage. I want to congratulate Ron Waters as chairman of the delegation, Vanessa Brown as the vice chair, Michelle Brown. Michelle Brownlee, just elected as the new secretary. Kenyatta Johnson is the treasurer. Congratulations to all the officers, and I really want to thank all of you and Ron for giving me the opportunity to participate.
Thank you to Representative Dermody and to the mayor of Philadelphia, Michael Nutter, being here. Now we want to bring the appropriations chair to the mic, and that is Representative Joe McCoy. Please.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. They're getting a little better. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted to stop over today to recognize the Black Caucus and the swearing-in ceremony for the leadership of the Black Caucus. So I'm very happy and proud and flattered that you invited me, and I wasn't planning to say anything, so I don't have a long speech, but I do appreciate giving me a few moments here to give you my best wishes. You know, it's going to be, as Leader Darmody just mentioned, a very difficult year with the budget this year. It's kind of an interesting year to be elected appropriations chairman. But a couple of things that I was thinking about as I was sitting there is, you know, we live, and I think the young man who spoke earlier mentioned this, we live in a democracy, and it's give and take. And you know, there's an interesting thing. People say that government doesn't work. They say that it doesn't work here, and they say that it doesn't work in Washington. One of the things that we have here, we don't have a dictatorship. We have a democracy. We have give and take. People get their say. We have a deliberative body. The House of Representatives and the Senate's the legislative check and balance of the governor, and it is a system where we have give and take, as I mentioned, and it doesn't work unless we compromise. If we can't compromise, and it's designed for compromise, and if we don't compromise, it doesn't work. And what we've seen over the last couple of years is there hasn't been a lot of compromise, and I think that's what's made people angry, because they turn around and say, well, the system doesn't work. Well, of course it won't work if you don't compromise. What we have a challenge here in the House of Representatives, the Democratic caucus, as well, certainly the Black caucus being a very important part of that. We have to not only be willing to compromise, but get the other side to be willing to compromise too. And that's not going to be easy. You know, we all have calculators. I have a supercomputer in my district, and if you're like me, sometimes I use my fingers and toes. But we saw what happened in the election. We saw that we don't have the numbers on our side. We know that going in. But that doesn't mean that we can't be effective. That doesn't mean that we can't get some of the things done that we all in here want to do. Yes, we're in the minority in numbers, but you know what? There were 91 Democrats elected. 91, that's enough for a lot of people in Pennsylvania to say we prefer Democrats. It's not as many as we'd like, we're not in the majority, but I think this caucus, and along with, and I think the Black Caucus will help us lead the way, will not only be firm when we negotiate with the majority, we'll be respectable, but we will be firm and we will be feisty. We have moxie. We will show our mettle. We have courage to get the things done that we need to do. And we are not going to let the other side steamroll us into taking away all of those things that we've worked so hard for so many years to get. Let me just conclude by saying again, we have a very, very difficult task ahead of us. We must be united. You know, I always talk about one of my favorite movies. It's a movie called Gladiator. Anybody seen Gladiator? Okay, there's a scene in Gladiator where these prisoners who have been trained as gladiators come out into the ring for the first time in Rome, in the Colosseum in Rome, and they don't know what's going on, and they're kind of worried, and all of a sudden these folks in chariots come rolling out and surrounding them, and they're outnumbered. They start picking them off, and the leader of the gladiators is a guy by the name of Maximus, who he says, listen everybody, if we're going to have any chance at all, we have to be together. We have to stay together. You remember that? You've seen that scene in the movie? And this outnumbered force, all of a sudden they pulled together and he said, follow my command. And they all did, and they ended up wiping out this much larger force. That's what we have to do. We all have to be Maximus in our caucus. We have to be unified. That's the way we can win some of these battles. And if we don't do that, if we all go off on our own and try to cut our own deals, it won't work. So with that, I am so glad to be here today, to be in front of you, that you gave me an opportunity to speak, and to be a leader of this caucus, and to try to guide the folks that are here into this unified force where we can win some victories this year in spite of the fact that we don't have the odds in our favor. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming. It's important that you are here today, and I appreciate being here, and I'm flattered to be a leader of this caucus. Thank you.
Out for the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where some people were nervous and feeling like we were left out, that it wasn't going to be a balance of power. It doesn't mean that it can't be fairness in the process. And your being here today demonstrates your commitment, because I know you have your own families and friends that came up here to share the moment with you and your victory, your recent victories. But you decided, even so, you will still come over here and be a part of this. So thank you. Thank you, Joe. Our swearing
I'm going back to the other side.
We had